Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? It's a little cold here in New York City. So, I wanted to give it some time before I got into this topic, but it has to be broached by me now. Would Tom Aspinall leave the UFC? It's a question that now has to be asked. Has Aspinall's feet been put on a path now that will lead him to no longer be part of the UFC going forward? Now, the question does call for some speculation, but if you have the ability to read between the lines, if you listen to the words said by Tom Aspinall, if you listen to the words said by Dana White, the answer becomes a little bit more clearer. Not crystal clear. You know, things are fluid. Things always can change. But right now, is Tom Aspinall on the path where he leaves the UFC? So before we break all that stuff down, do me a favor. Please like the video. Share it out. Down below in the comment section, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this Tom Aspinall situation. Because it is far from over. It is in the early stages of starting right now. And most importantly, guys, please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, and if you have subscribed, please get some friends and family to subscribe too. Because, guys, we are at 289 subscribers right now. And at 300 subscribers, we do a free giveaway. Now, in fairness, I have to be away for a week. I will not be around. So, if we cross that threshold of 300 subscribers while I'm unavailable to post, the second I get back to New York, the second I come back to Brooklyn, I will put up the 300 subscriber free giveaway. The raffle prizes are already in a box. It's already packaged. Trust me, you guys are going to want to enter and win the 300 subscriber raffle. But anyways, let's get back into Tom Aspinall and what it looks like for him moving forward. Like I said, if you listen clearly to the words that are said, you can kind of get a feeling of where this one might lead. Now, to be honest, I don't know how many fights left Aspinall has on his contract. I do know the UFC has something called a Champions Clause where when a champion wins, he gets one more fight added to the back end of his contract. So, I don't know where he stands contractually. But, all that being said, let's go back to post-fight Ciryl Gane. What did Dana White say and what did he not say? He didn't tell the press, hey guys, look, his vision was so messed up. You can't expect somebody to fight that can't see. He didn't say that. He didn't show the compassion, which, look, does Dana White ever show compassion? Hardly ever. But he didn't say those magic words. What he said was, hey, look, guys, Tom didn't want to continue. And that's the early crack, or just one of the early cracks in this relationship with Dana White and Team Tom Aspinall. Dana is not a fan of Aspinall's father, who is outspoken on things, especially when it comes to his son, which a father should be. But Dana doesn't tend to like guys that are outspoken on certain topics. Tom's spoken a lot on his own channel, right, about this eye situation. And if you listen to the interview he did with Ariel Helwani, what did he do? A little bit more than an hour, around there, worth of talking about this situation. While less is sometimes more, you have to give it to Tom in this case because he's being completely transparent. And that is something that us as members of the media really respect. But it's something that fans have to like as well. When a fighter is completely open and honest about everything. If you guys don't know, I have eye issues. I have something called CRVO and CRAO in my eyes. I get eye injections between every 9 and 11 weeks. Once your eyes are damaged, there's no turning back. It is not like a broken bone or a torn ligament that eventually truly heals. Once your eyes are gone, it's gone for life. And I've talked to my retina specialist about it. And look, are there innovations and improvements? Sure. The injections I now get is from a company called Eylea. And it's extended the time that I need the injections. Originally, I was getting injections every 4 or 5 weeks. So there are new drugs coming out. There are things that can help. But once the eyes are damaged, it's the beginning of the end. If I'm going to be honest with you guys and be transparent, it's the beginning of the end. Okay, so one of the things that Tom brought up is there's not a real relationship with him and his team and Dana White. It's him and Hunter Campbell. Now, is Hunter Campbell truly going to be the next person that takes over the UFC when Dana steps down? Well, Dana's not stepping down anytime soon. So let me put it to you like this. In a relationship, once you get one crack opens up multiple cracks. Okay, it's like when you're married. You don't mind if your partner snores, but if they snore and they're a bedwetter, it's a problem. And that's something you won't put up with. Okay? The little things that Dana does that bothers everybody, that's one thing. But not reaching out, not helping. And he's under no obligation to help because, as we know, fighters are deemed freelance employees. They are not, regular employees, which goes to show you that fighters really do need a union. We've gone down this road a billion times, guys, and the fighters keep shooting themselves in the foot. The fighters need something, okay? Maybe the UFC looks at, Trevor Whitman's style gloves. Maybe, I'd say maybe the federal government could come in to help a little bit, but let's face facts. At least before the UFC White House card, Dana White and Donald Trump aren't going to go nose to nose. I don't see the federal government coming in and doing anything pre-UFC White House. And honestly, I don't see the federal government stepping in for the next 3 years and change. If you can read between my lines. Now, what are Tom Aspinall's options? Well, if he was to stay in the UFC, there's more money coming to him fighting in the UFC. More, endorsement type deals, not sponsorships, but, endorsements come his way. If he's even able to fight at all after the surgery. Because, look, doctors can look at images of the eye and say, okay, this, and this are damaged. They won't truly know what the damage is like until they get in and what they're looking at is the back of Tom's eyes. And like I said, once your eyes start to go, it's for life. We've just seen, it's been a little while now, but Francis had his issues with Dana. So we've seen a champion leave and go sign with the PFL. Will or would Dana allow Tom to just, end the contract and sign with the PFL? I don't know. As stubborn as he was with Francis, I think Dana White would be a lot more stubborn about letting Tom go. And look, there's a bunch of fights I'd like to see Tom have in the UFC still. I'd like to see him and Gane actually go 5 rounds. There's a John fight that I would still like, even though I don't necessarily know if John would even come back. Derek Lewis is somebody who I would like to see Tom Aspinall fight. Alex Pereira is on the early verge stage of trying to go for a 3rd division title. Alexander Volkov. There's fights left for Tom Aspinall in the UFC. It's not like he's run through the division and leaving would not make a difference. Now, if he was to go, say, PFL, because outside of the PFL, and here's where we need a Bellator, there is nothing else. It's UFC, Big Gap, PFL, Big Gap, Regional. And we're now Aspinall going back to the regional circuit. For MMA, it's the PFL. Now, are there fights there for him? Sure, there's 2 right off the top. Him against Francis Ngannou and him against Renan Ferrara. I'm sure he'd get paid very handsomely for those 2 fights. Now, there's sponsorship money there, but it's not what it is, obviously, at the UFC level. And there'd be endorsement deals for him there, too. He'd instantly become one of the faces of the PFL. Instantly. Now, despite Tom's abilities and skills, one reason that maybe Dana does let him go is he just doesn't... Tom's a great fighter, okay? He's a high-level, high-skilled fighter, right? But the numbers he draws aren't overly over the top. And now that the UFC has to answer to Paramount Plus, who obviously they're the ones calling the shots. They're the ones matchmaking, not Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard anymore. Okay? Just look at, welterweight, lightweight, and featherweight in the UFC. Paramount Plus is calling the shots. Don't mistake it, and don't get it twisted. Okay? They're putting name ahead of merit. Tom's called Ciryl Gane a cheater. Do I think he's a cheater? No, I think despite Ciryl Gane's super athletic ability, because he's super athletic. He's one of the best in the UFC ever, okay? Someone his size that moves as good as he does, he's reckless and he's sloppy. And there actually does need to be a bigger punishment, if any punishment, when it comes to being reckless and sloppy and negligent with your fingers. Deducting of points, automatically making him lose a round or something. But then you're getting commissions involved, and that doesn't necessarily mean punishments will actually play out the way a punishment should play out. I think privately, and I think that's why Tom didn't mention it specifically. I think privately, Team Aspinall is considering life post-UFC. And look, Tom's always talked about wanting to box. Now, is he going to go the Francis Ngannou route, get in there with Tyson Fury and AJ, Anthony Joshua? No, not at all. But I think, even though he's on the verge of a title shot of his own, I think Richard Torres is a possibility for Aspinall. I think Aspinall and Martin Bakole would be interesting. Efe Ajagba would be an interesting opponent. Big Baby Jared Anderson might be an interesting fight. Lawrence Okolie, I would like to see. It's the second tier heavyweights would be interesting fights to see him box. But again, once the orbital area is damaged, shelf life of a fighter shrinks dramatically. Which is a shame, because Aspinall might go down as one of those fighters where we wonder, what if? What if that John fight had happened? What if Gane didn't use his head like a bowling ball, as he puts it? Same thing with, not because of injuries, but Tony Ferguson. What ifs? There's 100 what ifs with Tony Ferguson. Conor, Habib. But the question has to be asked. Does Tom Aspinall's UFC career come to an end because of this? And honestly, I think it does. I think Tom is, after surgery, I don't see, I don't see him staying in the UFC. Which is a shame. I would love to see it. I want to see it. I want to see him fight all those guys. But I don't see it. Pardon the pun. I think all these cracks in the relationship are now starting to spread wide open. And it's like the Titanic. Once those things open up, there's no turning back. And I think that Team Aspinall is so offended that there's no words of encouragement, no words of how are you doing? I think that just bothers Team Aspinall too much. And look, it's not the first time that Dana's done this. You know, and again, Dana's under no contractual obligation to call and check up on anybody. You know, it's like you get injured, get yourself better, and when you're ready to fight, call us. That's what it's like. And that's just not how a lot of people live. Look, Ally Aquinta retired, went into real estate because of injuries and the lack of respect coming from the powers that be. And I got news for the fighters. If they think things are bad now with just Dana, do you think a company like Paramount Plus gives a rat's ass about what they're going through privately? They don't. Okay? I'm a member. I don't want to say proud member because I'm not really proud of my union, but I'm a Screen Actors Guild member. I'm a member of SAG. You think the union gives a rat's ass? They don't. So there's no way Paramount Plus can give two poops about Aspinall's health or any other fighter's health for that matter. But guys, let me know what you think down below. Okay? Leave a comment. Tell me what you think Tom Aspinall's future looks like. Pardon the pun. If you have already subscribed, please get a friend or two to subscribe, because remember, we're on the verge of 300 subscribers giveaway raffle. And again, I'll be out of town for a week. If we hit that number, I will do it the second I get back. Like the video, share it out. And until the next video, hopefully it will be that 300 subscriber video. Cyclone saying, peace out, homies.